Welcome back. I am your host. I am attorney Stephen Leahy. I'm here with the group, Deborah Schreiner and Jim Leahy.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to the IRS Radio Hour, heard on this station every Sunday at 5 o'clock. So remember, tune those dials to AM 560.
It's almost like the Jake Leahy station because he's on Joe Walsh. He's on Dan Ames. He's been on the IRS Radio Hour. He's all over the place.
He's everywhere.
He was also on the David Hochberg show with me. So that
all
was
you
very
need
good.
is the IRS Radio Hour.
That's all. That's correct.
And now, here's that man with a head just crammed full of knowledge, Mr. Know-It-All.
That's correct, Mr.
You
Know-It-All.
created a monster,
The
Jim.
segment where Attorney Leahy answers those questions that are burning deep inside you.
That is true.
Like,
so this
are
week,
you going to opening day?
Oh, I don't think I'm going to go to opening day because it's not my week, not my year.
Like, do you prefer chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream?
I'm a vanilla guy with chocolate syrup.
Oh, I'm chocolate ice cream all the way.
Chocolate all the way.
Yeah?
Mint chocolate chip.
Mint chocolate chip.
I don't like the mint.
What?
I
like it.
And I like vanilla. It's like vanilla's shakes. I like a vanilla shake. Although I like with chocolate. I don't know. I like chocolate. I'm a big chocolate guy.
I have to go get that now, too.
But I like vanilla. I don't know what that is. I'm a very vanilla guy.
I'm going to go get a Shamrock shake.
I'm a very vanilla guy. I haven't given my update on my Fitbit update, but I won't do that right now because what I'm going to talk about right now is I'm going to talk about a listener who again listens to the show, and he called me because he had a question. He said, "I didn't know
listener, thank you very much.
I didn't know who else to call." He said, so I had a question. So I didn't know who else to call. So he called me, and I had an opportunity to talk to him. He talked to Bonnie, because remember when you call, you generally talk to Bonnie, and Bonnie sets up a time for us to talk because she knows my calendar, and she can match it with your calendar, and we can talk, or you can come in. But he wanted to talk, so I talked to him on one evening, and we had a nice discussion about the show, and I was thanking him for listening. And then the question he had was, several years ago he had started an LLC, a limited liability company, because he was planning on starting a company. Actually, he said he started 2 LLCs, and he was going to start a company. Instead, life got in the way. He got married, had children, and so he never did anything with those companies. And so he got something from the state that said, "Hey, pay the franchise fee," and then he's calling me. He said, "What do I have to do to dissolve that LLC? What will happen? How can I get out from under this?" And the answer was fairly straightforward. Don't pay the franchise fee, right? And the IRS, the state of Illinois, because the LLC is a state entity. You create LLCs, corporations. These are all state entities. Now, whether you are a subchapter S or a C corporation, that's done with the IRS, so that's a different thing. But in LLC now, people, wouldn't I have to? Then he asked me, well, shouldn't I have done my tax returns? Because they're a company, and those companies, shouldn't they have had tax returns? And the answer is, if it's a single member LLC, those tax returns they're treated as a sole proprietorship for yourself. So it's on your tax return. And you didn't have any income, so you didn't have anything to report. So you're not in violation of any rules because you didn't get any money, so you didn't have to report any money. And all you have to do is not pay the franchise fee, and the company will be dissolved. I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago when someone else was asking me about companies that they owed. They had a corporation. The corporation owed some money in taxes. Did they have to pay those? They had some personal obligations to the IRS, and then the business had an obligation, but the business went under. Does he have to pay those taxes? Again, that's why you create these separate entities, right? So this entity has its own obligations. As the owner, you don't necessarily have those same obligations. They could be separate. So many times the company, if it goes under and it has these tax obligations, the owner oftentimes doesn't have to worry about those obligations. They don't go to the owner. Now, there are some taxes that do flow to the owner. One we talk a lot about on the show is called the trust fund recovery penalty. And that's that portion of your payroll taxes that you take out of your employee's check and hold it for the IRS, and you're supposed to send it to the IRS so that you're holding somebody else's money in trust for the IRS. And if you don't send it in, then the IRS comes after you personally to send it to them. Now you're obligated, and that won't go away. But again, if my company owes just income taxes, and the company dissolves and doesn't have any more business and liquidates, there is that obligation generally does not go to the owners.
Well, that's
remember I talked about this a couple weeks ago because I had a guy and his wife came in and they were ready to hire me, and I had to tell them, you don't need me. And sometimes that's the best meeting I have with people, at least for them, right? I want to tell them, hey, you don't need me.
But even for you, because that's what you're in for. Hey, look,
you don't
really have that big of a deal. All you got to do is this and this.
So I can give you, kind of direct you. So anyway, I hope that answered his question.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, call Attorney Stephen Leahy and Opum Tax Resolutions at 312-664-6649 or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. If you have a question we didn't answer it on the show, ChicagoTaxTeam.com is going to be your hub to help fight the IRS, and you can watch previous shows, get blog reports. It's a great little tool to help fight the IRS. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned because after the commercial break, we're going to wrap the show up IRS Radio Hour style here on St. Patrick's Day weekend on AM 560. The Answer.